Hello. Hi, guys.
Hello.
Hi, Adedolapo.
Hi. How are you?
Hello. I'm fine, thank you. Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining this session. Thank you and welcome. You're welcome to Vineyard Learning. Thank you for joining. Welcome everybody to Vineyard Learning. It's great to have you here. And thank you for taking our time to join this live session. It's a pleasure having you all join us. And we are looking forward to learning from this session. So today, we're going to have a chat with a product manager. Yes, we have a product manager in the house. So we're going to be having a chat with her. We are going to listen to her tell us what her day-to-day life is as a product manager. We all know that there has been an increase in the demand for product managers, for product owner roles, because most companies are becoming product led. They are actually looking to invest in product management because it leads to long-term gains. So most companies are becoming more product led companies. So we are going to be speaking with Adedolapo today. Okay, first, let me introduce myself. So I'm Bukola Koladi. I'll be here with Dolapo to interact with her. So I'm a product manager at Vineyard Learning. Vineyard Learning is a learning and development platform for professionals. We offer trainings for business analysis, project management, data analysis, Scrum Master courses, and Scrum Product Owner. So if you're looking to be certified in any of these courses, just shoot a DM. We are just one DM away. We are one phone call away, one email away. So I will just go to introduce our speaker for today. Today we have here with us Adedolapo Oguntayo, who is a product manager at ShortPoint. Adedolapo is a versatile product manager and business analyst with more than 5 years of experience in product management, user research, business analysis, agile product management, and data analysis. She's a clear and effective communicator with an organized and analytical approach. In addition to product management and business analysis, she enjoys assisting individuals and organizations in developing strategies that will assist them in achieving their objectives through coaching and consulting. Glad to have you here, Dolapo.
Yeah, the pleasure is mine. The pleasure is mine. Good to be here as well.
We look forward to learning a lot from you today, being that we're actually going to be looking at your day-to-day life as a product manager and as a product owner.
Sure. I'm very happy to share, very, very excited to share as well.
Okay, thank you. Thank you for joining us. Okay, so, okay, so we'll just go into asking some questions that will just let us know more about your product management journey and what you do as a product manager and as a product owner, especially at your current workplace, ShortPoint. So I think now we would want to know how you started your journey as a product manager. So how did you start your PM journey? Where did you start from? What did you do?
All right. This is a very interesting question, and I'm so glad to answer it because my PM journey didn't start intentionally, I'd say. It wasn't like I graduated from the university and I decided that I wanted to be a product manager straight out of uni because I don't think I even I knew what the concept product management was then, but I would say it was a coincidence, but I'm thankful that I am on this path. So how did it start? When I left university, one of the first things I wanted to do was I liked the type of education I got from the country I'd studied at. And I thought to myself to also share the same experience with people in Nigeria, because I did study in Nigeria. And I decided to partner with a friend of mine then to build a MOOC, that's a learning platform where I can get courses from my university while people in Nigeria could access. So I was building product, writing requirements, and that was I would say, the first product I ever managed. Yes, let me put it that way. I didn't know I was doing anything related to product management. And after that, I went into, of course, it was a fail. I didn't have connection, or I didn't, it was, life happens, right? So it didn't work out. So it was a fail.
Yeah.
Then I had to get a job and make money. I started as a marketing manager or director of marketing for a startup then. It was with my friend as well. But I realized that because this company was a management consulting firm, and what they did then was to provide solutions for small, medium enterprises. Solutions could be like, invoicing system for small, medium enterprise. And that was one of the projects I had worked on with them then. And yes, my role then was director of marketing. And I know it's funny, I was a director of marketing, even though I just left school, university, but it was a startup, so you can imagine. So what it meant was that all hands must be on deck, and everybody had to do different things, even though your role was this, right? You had to do other things as well. So one of the things I started picking up was, writing the requirement for the engineers, the developers that was working on the solutions we're building for small, medium enterprises. And I still did not know that I was doing product management. I was just using information I got on Google. And of course, I just really relied on my creative thinking just to ensure that, we delivered something. And of course, I needed more money, I guess. I think money is a good motivation, but just kidding, not really about money, but I needed to grow in my career. Then I went into retail. Interestingly, I was a fashion buyer and a merchandiser, and that was where I started off with data analysis. So I was doing data analysis because, I had to do some range planning, some, style allocation, SKUs allocation for the retail company, because as at then it had about 20 retail outlets. So it was, I would say it was pretty huge then. So you had to get into the data. So I was doing data analysis, but then came a time where the company needed to change their, the software that they use in, what was it called? Okay, I think I shouldn't mention what the software was, just because the software wasn't serving them well, really. So they needed to customize their own software to serve the company. And I found myself giving requirements as well, although because, I was in the buying department, I was in the range allocation department. So they had to gather a team of, I would say subject matter experts to create requirements for this solution that they wanted to do in the retail. So I saw myself doing that, and I was really excelling. I really enjoyed it. I liked it. And I had the opportunity to then go into insurance. And that was I'll say that was where I now understood what product management was. But I went in as a business analyst. I wasn't a product manager. So I got trained as a business analyst, and I was working as a business analyst. Then I transitioned into being a product manager whilst I was in that insurance company. And I'm currently in a core software company where I am a product manager. And interestingly, I was hired as a business analyst, but I am doing product management. But then again, so I think this is how my journey into PM came about. So I guess I answered the question. Yeah.
Thank you, Dolapo. So you went from business analyst, or should I say director of marketing, to doing product management work.
All right.
Then
Yes.
business analyst. Okay, thank you. That's good. Okay, so can you just tell us what your first 6 months as a product manager looked like?
Okay, that's a very interesting question. So with my career dynamics, like the way it was for me, remember I said I was a business analyst, then transitioned into a product manager. It wasn't like I got into product management straight up. So whilst I was a business analyst, business analysis and product management has some similarities. Hence why you see that a lot of product managers that we have came, the career path was typically they were business analysts, then they then became a product manager. So I was a business analyst. So I was already doing some of product, like I was already creating product roadmap even as a business analyst then, and this was because of the industry I was in. Yeah, and this is a case by case situation. This typically shouldn't be what it should, but for me, I was already doing some product management, tasks, I'd say. So it's very hard to differentiate now, but I think I would answer it based off of when I joined my current company, because I had joined in as a business analyst, and I think 1 month into joining them, they told me that they wanted me to do product management. So I'll just try to answer that question from that perspective. So it was very confusing, I would say. It was very, very confusing, because when you go online, there are a lot of information, very overwhelming information about what product management is. But one of the things that I understood is that a product manager is someone that manages the life cycle of a product from inception, from ideation to when the product will be launched. So when I came in, it was good such that there was sort of like a product roadmap laid out for the product I was going to be managing at the point. And the product lifecycle phase where the product was, what I believe it was already in the building stage, right? They were already building, but it wasn't ideation. So I didn't have to come up with it. But it was such a big product that needed to have so many features, and then I needed to manage those features. So for me, it was confusing, but then with the resources I got online, and I was very fortunate enough to have, a manager that was holding my hand all through the process. But one thing I knew was that I never stopped learning. I went online to get information as to how I would be, very proficient on my role. So my first 6 months started off with just trying to understand the product. And this is because of the context I was in. I joined in when they were already building a product, trying to understand the product, trying to understand what the set requirement was for the product. Then when I understood the product, then I started trying what they had built already, even though it was not in the complete state. Once that was done, what I did was then try to see what other parts were missing and how did I do that. I remember then I had learned about empathy mapping, right? I did an empathy mapping workshop, even though it was not what was the way it was from all the articles and the blogs and the courses I've learned. So what I did was to organize an empathy workshop in my company with, its internal users, though this product was for external, just to simulate how users would use the product, so that I could understand what was left out in the product. And when I did the empathy mapping session, and I was able to understand what needed to be added, what needed to be improved on the product. And then, of course, I added it to the set product roadmap we already had. So what it means is that I was, in my first 6 months, it's very straightforward. I tried to understand the product, and because it was already in the building phase. Secondly, try the product, make sure I knew all the functionalities on the product that we're building. Secondly, try to find out other parts of the product that needed to be improved. And I think fourthly, I added those parts to the product roadmap, essentially improving the product roadmap that they already had. So I would say that was what my first 6 months was about, as at the time I was a product manager in the company I currently work for. Yeah.
Thank you for that answer, Adedolapo. So I will just go to the next. Before product management, I know you told us a little about your background and how you came into product management. Should I say accidentally? So I would actually like you to tell us more about your time before product management, during product management, and after product management.
Okay, great question. So before product management, I mentioned that I was a business analyst, and it was such that I think being a business analyst really helped me with my current role as being a product manager. So before product management, I was a business analyst and really just performing the tasks of a business analyst while still doing some product management job. Just because of the industry that I was in, I had to double as a product manager as well. So during product management, I'm really enjoying it. And one of the things that I aside from what I do currently as a product manager, one of the things I enjoy doing is to also help new product managers or PMs that are aspiring product managers, right?
Yeah.
To actually easily transition, because it was very hard for me to get requirement that would really help me. When I started, it was really a battle. So during product management, now that I wouldn't say I have all the knowledge I need on product management, because it's a very interesting field. It's a broad field. But one of the things that I'm very interested in is to also see how I can help, new product managers, transition easily, give them the right information and the right access to resources that they need. And after product management, so yes, I have so many plans, right? But one thing that I see with product managers that are program and they transition into other industries, that most of them end up, being like CEOs of companies and all of that. But for me, just because I like to teach, I love consulting, I may end up being maybe a strategic consultant in the future. And product management is so interesting such that you don't need to be a specialist, you are a generalist. So what it means is that as a product manager, I told you, from retail, I got into insurance. Now I'm in cost software. So there is nothing limiting me to join. Maybe, for instance, if I decide to leave the company I am currently with, which I'm not intending to leave, by the way, just to put a caveat there. But if I choose to go into another industry, I will still excel because the skills are easily transferable, right? So after product management, for me, I'd say maybe strategic consulting. I really do not know yet, but that would be the line I would plow. Yeah. So yes, that's it for me. I guess we lost Bukola, right? Or I guess I'm the one. Okay.
Okay, so thank you for that, Adedolapo. So how did you transition into the PM role? I know you mentioned you also help aspiring product managers transition, and that's because you already have that experience in transitioning, right? And you've also mentioned how you went from being a director of marketing to business analyst and then to product management. So could you just tell us how you transitioned fully into a PM role?
Okay, so I think it was my curiosity and I'd say my proactiveness that perhaps helped me transition. So this is my own circumstance or my own context, right? So this is not everyone's context. So transitioning for me was that I was curious. I wanted to know what it was. I wanted to understand. I wasn't limiting myself to the role of just, when I was a business analyst, it's just business, I just, gathering requirement or helping a company drive change, right? But I was also there in understanding how whatever product I was managing as at that point was actually giving value to the customer. So I was just very curious. I was interested to know how people were using this product. I wasn't just interested to just, I wasn't just doing my core role. So I guess that was how the transition came. And I was very opportune to, I was opportune to be given that role, even though I didn't understand what it was when I was given the role, when I had it as my job title. So my transition was just basically more of, curiosity and active learning. And that is why I said that, in my learning process, right, it was very difficult for me to put all the information together. So, and that's why I said I'm very intentional to help, people that want to transition that may have been in my situation where they just got the opportunity to be a PM, just like that. Or maybe they just they are intentionally pursuing this role, right? But don't know how to go about it. So there's a lot of learning to do. There are a lot of, of course, in every industry, every industry has its own context, they have its own technicalities, even though it's not, when I say technicalities, it's not really, really so technical. What skills you need to have to be a product manager, what sort of resources you need to understand for you to be a product manager, what sort of things you need to do in your role as a product manager. So like I said, your first 6 months, what are you supposed to be doing as a product manager? So those are the things that I am very intentional about helping people transition. So if you want to transition into a PM role, be open-minded that you will need to learn, of course, because I mean, no one is an island and every industry has its own nuances, right? So learning is very paramount. But I know we have this issue in the PM world right now on how we can, curate this learning so that it makes sense to someone that is new. So, and for instance, I need to put this out there. If you are getting a role as a product manager in a particular industry, so you have to understand your industry. A PM in a software I said I'm working in software, but I'm in a design company, a software design company. Some people are building cloud products, right? You need to understand your industries for you to flourish there. Yes, some skills are very relevant across different industry, but sometimes you need to be very versatile such that you'll be able to tweak those skills to satisfy or to fit the industry you're serving. So a PM is someone that is very strategic. And that's why I said that anyone, honestly, I think anyone can be a PM if you have certain skill sets such as communication, negotiation, and people skill. And you're a very strategic person as well. So anyone can be a PM. So you don't even need a university degree to become a product manager, in my opinion, based on my experience. So yeah. So I hope that answers the question.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. You can actually come in from any career path into product management. Something like you have to have the knowledge of the industry, and I know also you have to have the knowledge of data is also important. Data knowledge of customers and also of the company they are working with. So we would actually like to know some challenges that you face on the job. I know you said transitioning wasn't easy for you, and that's why you're actually helping people, transition fully. It means you faced some challenges. There's no journey without a challenge, actually. So, what are the challenges that you faced on the job as a product manager, as a product owner?
That's a brilliant question. Of course, I mean, product management, as easy as it sounds, like, we have, mentioned that anyone can transition from any career path into product management, but because it's a strategic role, right? And it's a role where you have to meet up with people, your people skill has to be top notch. When you're managing, yes, you are managing a product, right? But just because you'd also need to, be very tightly involved with people, you need to understand your emotional intelligence needs to be very great, such that a lot of times when you are, managing or when you are having conversations with people, it's not influencing the delivery of your product, or it's not affecting how, fast you roll out a product or how you want certain things to be in the product. So your people skills. So for me, sometimes I have, in my current company, opportunity to work with people from different continents in the world, like from Asia, from, Africa, from, different continents of the world, right? So sometimes for me, it's very difficult for me not to understand the boundary where I am actually communicating so that the person understands what I want. It's not even based on even race, for instance. Let's even say you're of the same race. People have different way of understanding things. So the ability for you to try to communicate so that you're communicating to everyone in a very clear manner. Some people can grasp things very fast if you mention it this way. So that's one of the challenges. So most times, especially when we're having a kickoff meeting, I'm introducing a new feature, I have to take my time to prepare for that kickoff meeting, such that I know that I am involving every single person in the meeting. Some people are not getting tired. So sometimes I can even chip in games. Sometimes even in my slides, I like to make it very funny so that, people that are bored with long slides, at least that would cheer them up a little bit, and that would make them involved in the meeting. So for me, it's, communicating with people so that everyone is, getting what I'm saying. Secondly, I would say another challenge will be, there's this thing I always say to my friend, that when a product is great, the glory or will go to the engineers. When anything goes bad, it comes to the product managers, right? So the ability for you to understand that you are not always going to be cheered every single time, even though you worked hard to do something. It's okay, you understand. The ability for you to know that, okay, even if you get constructive criticism, even sometimes you get criticism that are not actually what it is, but as a product manager, know that your goal is the user. You want to ensure that the users are happy, irrespective of whatever accolades are given to anyone in the company. And I'll say thirdly, what this will be time. I won't say time management really, but it's not that as a product manager, you're doing so many things at the same time, because you're not a specialist. Like, you have the engineers, they are just doing the code and all of that. That's what they are doing. But you are not only interfacing with the software engineers, you're interfacing with, stakeholders like, your CEOs, you're interfacing with the marketing team, the sales team, everybody's on you. So sometimes it gets overwhelming and you're wondering, how can I divide myself? So a large chunk of my time as a product manager are spent on meetings. I'm meeting with the marketing team, the sales team, the engineering team. I have, sprint planning, I have grooming meetings. So, and every information anyone needs on the product, you are the go-to person. So imagine everyone is asking you about everything. So it could be overwhelming as a product manager, but then again, that's what I have, signed up for. So I'm fine. Yeah. So I think those would be my challenges, speaking honestly.
Okay. So I guess this is to aspiring product managers, prepare to have a lot of meetings and interface with a lot of people. Okay, thank you, Adedolapo, for that. So we have a question from Mujib Oniyide. The question says, what will you mostly consider in a resume if you are to employ product manager who has no experience in the field?
Okay. So for me, I would want to see grit. That's it. I want to see grit. When I say grit is, I want to see like things that you've done that is outside even product management and how you made it come to life. For instance, you are straight out of uni, right? And you want to be an APM or a product manager. In your CV, I want to see things that you've done. It might not necessarily be a product you built, but perhaps a program you managed, and what were the things you were doing to ensure that that program was successful. Those are the things I want to see. So I want to see those things that made that product, or sorry, whatever it is, if it's an event, if it's a program, made it successful. So I want to see what were your inputs in making those things happen. Because at the end of the day, product management is very versatile, such that I could be a product manager in my company, but a product manager at Facebook, yeah, we have the same title. We have some similarities, but for us to excel at our role, we need to be able to think strategically so that we bring everything together to make sure that that thing is a success. So for me, I want to see what you're bringing to the table, what you brought to the table to make something happen. So yeah, that would be it from my side.
Okay, thank you for that, Adedolapo. Before we go to the next question on our slide, there's another question from somebody, Adenike Akin. It says, what is the difference between project management and product management from your perspective?
That is a very, very, very interesting question. And I mean, it's one thing I get every single time, and maybe because the acronyms are the same, PM, and it's quite confusing. So now, a project manager is not a product manager, right? So project management involves basically the planning and organizing of perhaps a company's resources to move a specific task, an event or duty to completion. So it's not a so it's like the things you need to do to ensure that, okay, they've given a timeline to move something from one end to the other rather, is what project management is. So basically, you're managing resources, you're managing time, you're managing whatsoever thing to ensure that based on the budget allocated, to ensure that something is done at a particular time. But product management is, like I mentioned earlier, is the act, this is my own term, of managing different phases of a product life cycle. So it's not time bound. Maybe this is the differentiator here. Project management is time bound, and you are not managing releases. You're just managing time, resources, everything you need to get a project done. The project could be a product, it could be an event, it could be anything, right? You see, but product management is you managing the different phases of a product life cycle. So a product life cycle is consisting of, ideation, launching, ideation, building. After building, you launch, and after, okay, you also have some after launch phase. But a project manager would only be involved in the building phase, and that's it, right? But a product manager would be involved in the launching phase, in the ideation phase, in the after launch phase, and even when the product dies itself. So I hope that is clear enough. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that is clear. Thank you, Adedolapo. So as a practicing PM, what's your learning pipeline like? I know you said you did a lot of learning, and I'm sure you still do a lot of learning because you have to keep up with industry trends and all of that. You have to get better. So what's your learning pipeline like?
Okay, so for me right now, okay, when I started product management, I needed to learn the basics of product management, what it entails, like what product mapping is, what a product manager should be doing. Like, I like the question that came in, what's the difference between project management and I needed to know what those differences are. I wanted to know what the difference between a product manager and a business analyst is. You understand, what are their differences? Those are the things I wanted to know. I wanted to know what was like, we're having this, event now. What is a day-to-day life of a product manager? What should I be doing? What are the expectations from, stakeholders? Those are the things I was learning. But right now, I think, especially with the industry, I think I am very aware of these things now. So for me now, I'm getting into the strategic part of things, right? I am not involved. I'm still really involved with product mapping. That is my day-to-day thing. I'm still really involved in, wireframing and all of those basics, right? But for me now is I want to, right now, I'm trying to actually improve my communication, emotional intelligence, such that I am able to manage. I mean, this is personal to me, right? This is my pipeline, right? So I select what I'm learning based on my current circumstance, you understand, so that I can flourish well. So I see that I need to, because I am working with a very diverse, I'm working with diverse colleagues, right? So I need to understand how I can communicate better and strategically so that they can understand. I'm also currently working in how to, like I said, strategic management. I'm taking some courses on strategic management so that whatever product I'm building is a product that is not just going to last, just for, or a feature, because right now I'm currently focused on features in the product, right? Is not just a product that will the users love, but is a feature that is also timeless, and also how it can improve those features. So basically strategic management and communication as well. So this is because this is where I am at, and this is what I think I need to be learning in my current industry and in my current company. Yeah.
Okay, thank you, Adedolapo. Quickly, can you just, we've said a lot about transitioning, how you got into product management, your learning pipeline, and all of that. So we'd actually like to know what your day-to-day entails. What do you do daily as a product manager at your current company
Yeah, I'll
and
start
as a
with a
product
lot of,
owner?
excuse me, I'll start by saying a lot of meetings actually. But yeah, this is how, okay, a day in my life will be, okay, I have to start my day off with, planning my day, writing a to-do list and time blocking it. So once I do that, the first thing I do is I check my calendar to help me even plan my day, because I just put context to this. I work remotely, 100% remotely, so I don't have to go into the office. So I have to check my calendar to see all the meetings that I have for the day, right? Once I check that, I would plan myself based off of that. Secondly, I'll go straight to Jira and see, where the where we are with the product, or how much development we've done with the product. So once I'm done with Jira, just to know where we are and put a note to that. I check my emails, I go on Slack, check whatever messages I have and all of that. So then if I don't have any meetings, I'll go into my product roadmap. With my product roadmap is where I have some features that I need to work on in terms of perhaps maybe requirements, right? I need to create requirement. I need to create a wireframe for them, depending on. So this is just, I'm just giving an example of what maybe a day will be. I mean, sometimes it could be different, right? But yeah, so I'll check the product roadmap, and if I have a feature to create wireframes for, to write user stories. So by the way, in my company, I also double as a Scrum Master, which is, yeah, which is something, because if you're working in a startup, you should be open to doubling as a lot of things. And that is why I talked about versatility, as a product manager is one thing you should be open-minded to be. But if you're in a very big company, you may be more specialized, and you may be just focusing on your product management, core role, right? So once I stopped at creating wireframing, writing requirement, and adding them to Jira. And once I'm done with that, I just go back to my backlog refinement, because I manage the backlog as well for my company. So I look into the backlog, see based on the information I've gotten from, maybe our CEO or our feature owner, or the product owner that I work with, I will prioritize the backlog based off that. Once I'm done, then I get started with my meeting. So I could have, some sync meetings with the dev team, or, some sprint planning meeting, depending on the date of the week. After my sprint planning meeting, I would, remember I said I've drawn a wireframe, or I did a requirement. If my feature owner or some design team members are available, I will ping them to say, okay, I have this feature that I wireframed and I want their input, what they think about it. Share with them. We have our back and forth over the feature. Once it's done, if there's an approval, then I push it to the product design team to create a beautiful experience for the feature. Once that is done, sometimes I may have to meet with the sales and marketing team, depending on the day of the week or the phase of the product that we are in. And once that is done, I'm sure that even during that day, I'll be having some ad hoc meetings between where people are adding me into certain meetings for clarifications. But yeah, and that's really expected. After that, I think I'd have to just go back. One thing I always do as well is, because I get so many messages on Slack or on my email, is just to ensure that I will just block maybe an hour to make sure that I'm not missing anything, because it's very easy to miss things with the level of, the way, questions are coming in, people wants to get feedback. So, but I am very intentional about, blocking out at least 1 hour of the day to make sure that I am touching on everything. And at this moment, I'm learning to say no to some meetings that I know that are not necessary. So hence why most times I always create requirements that are reusable for not only the development team, reusable for even other stakeholders like the marketing team, and it's also understandable. So yeah, that's what a day in my life would look like, and depending on the day as well. Yeah.
That's very interesting.
Thank
Okay,
you.
thank you, Dolapo. Um, can you just tell us what has changed pre-pandemic and post-pandemic? I know you've been into product management even before the pandemic, right? So what has changed for product management pre-pandemic and post-pandemic?
Okay. A lot has changed. It's very different. So pre-pandemic, you can see your stakeholders face to face. So there is this human interaction between you and I mean, I think it's pretty much the same thing across every profession or industry. So it's easy to, let me give an example. I'll tell you. So when I used to be a business analyst / product manager, even though my job title was not, but I know I was doing product management then, what I'll do is that if there was maybe a misunderstanding during a backlog refinement or a sprint planning meeting with the engineers, like I said, as a product manager, you need to be a good communicator and a good negotiator. You need to know how to negotiate things. So, of course, humans being humans, it's easy for me to just tell maybe my colleague and say, okay, I understand that let's talk things during lunch, take them for lunch and talk things, directly face to face. But after the pandemic or post-pandemic, it's not very easy to have that sort of, advantage where you get to talk to people physically outside, where you get to talk to people physically. And I saw that then it made me win a lot of, I don't want to say a lot, it made me win, it's not argument, I'll say, win a lot of or negotiations that I had with my, development team. But right now that it's post-pandemic, I had to change my strategy, right? Of course, I cannot take someone that is 5,000 kilometers away from me for lunch, you understand, and talk things out, right? So now I have to not only be, when I'm doing work, I also ensure that I talk about their families, like when I'm communicating that, so that, I have the connection with them that is outside of work. Like before, I would not typically ask you about your family pre-pandemic or anything. When I have issues with you, I'll find a way to settle it with you directly over dinner or lunch or whatever. But now I am very intentional of that because I know that situations where I need to negotiate will come up, right? So my communication with my stakeholders and my engineering team or my development team is such that I'm not only so strictly tied to work, I'm very spontaneous to talk about things about, family, lifestyle, so that when I need to get something from them, it's very easy. They already have this soft spot or empathy for me, or, So what it means is I had to change my strategy in communicating, and also, like I said, my emotional intelligence, skill has to be, different from the way it was when I could meet people face to face. So yeah, that's it.
Thank you, Dolapo. So would we've spoken a lot about the things you do and a bit about your day-to-day activities. And I know you actually chipped in some of the tools that you used to work. But would actually like to know as a manager, as a product owner. Did you get that?
So, okay, you accept that the tools I used to work, that you want to know what tools I used to work as a product manager and as a product.
Yes.
Okay, yeah,
yes.
Great. So as a product manager, okay, let me start listing them out and I'll just tell you what it. So I use Asana. So for Asana, that's where I do my product road mapping. Beautiful tool. And this is not an advert, by the way, but it's a very good tool to product roadmap. You can use any other tool. Honestly, I started using Excel for my product road mapping. So it's not because, you can use anything pretty much for product road mapping. You can even use Word file. So, but Asana makes things easier. Jira, of course, that's tax management, tax assignment, tax allocation, right? That's where, I've mentioned that. And that's where I also document some of my requirements so that it's majorly for tax management, I'd say, even though I would typically have requirements there. So the requirement there is for engineers to pick things up so that they can work on, and I know where they are at each point in time, right? Then I use mockups. Mockups is a tool to wireframe as well. So the name mockup is, I think, is also from mockup. So in this case, it's MOQUPS, right? And I use the mockup for wireframing and typically to document all my requirements. You can use Visio as well as an alternative to mockups. We have other tools like InVision, so many tools to wireframe. And I also use Figma. This is where I review all our design team work, you know, that's where they do their designs anyway. So this is where I review the work, and also if I have to add comments, and I do add comments. So I think that's it. Am I missing anything? Yeah, pretty much. Those are the common tools I would say I use day to day for my job: Asana, Jira, mockups, and Figma. Yeah.
Thank you, Dolapo. I've actually taken, I think, a tool or two that I would go and look into too. Thank you, Dolapo. So we have a question from Tando Jacobs. It says, what's the difference between a product manager and a product owner? And which one is good for a BA, that's a business analyst?
Okay. So to be honest, they're not, it's based on your circumstance, company by company, industry by industry, right? So, but if we're going to go with the flow of things, the Scrum way of things, right? So in the Scrum framework, we know that we have a business analyst, we have the Scrum team members, which is business analyst, the quality assurance tester, the product owner, right? In this case, the product owner is the voice of the customer, right? So based off of that, if your company is adopting that framework in, you know, developing products, right? Then a product, I mean, some companies don't have product managers really. They just have business analysts and product owners. That's like I say, it's a company by company thing. Some companies actually do have business analysts. They have product owner and a product manager. So now for me, I'd say I'll rather, if you are new, if you want to choose between being a product manager and a product owner, it's easier to get resources to become a product owner than to become a product manager. There's certification courses for product ownership compared to product manager. Yeah, there is one to certified product manager, but it's not really common. But the one that everyone is more aware about is the product owner. You know, we have one from scrum.org, so many institute offering the certification, and they're not only offering the certification, they're also giving you a learning path to this industry. So if you're a product owner, I can guarantee that you would function well as a product manager. And like I said, product management is not, there is no one way to it, right? It's basically, a product manager is basically just managing the phases of the product life cycle. So a product owner, for instance, could just strictly be involved in the building phase, right? But a product manager certainly will be involved with the building phase, the launching phase are there. So a product owner might not be necessarily involved in marketing. You don't need to interface with marketing. I mean, not necessarily, depending on the industry you have, but a product manager will. So for me, if you want to choose one, I'd say go the product owner way. The chances of you becoming a product manager is high, because if you're a product owner, you can certainly function well as a product manager. Like I said, I started as a business analyst and I'm doing well as a product manager. So you can start as a business analyst, you can decide to start as a product owner. And this is because there's a clear path. There are clear learning paths for product ownership compared to product management. I hope that answers your question. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that was able to speak to the question. So we have another question from G. It says, what are the chances of getting remote opportunities in developed countries as a product manager? So I'm guessing this person is here in Nigeria. and wants to know the chances of getting remote opportunities in developed countries.
Okay, so I'll say the chances are just the same chance as you getting a with a non-remote opportunity, honestly. And this is because with the pandemic, right? A lot of companies have moved, remote or hybrid in some case. So that means that their opportunity is pretty much the same thing now, not before post-pandemic for you to get, someone that will, a lot of companies, I think most companies right now that used to be, that I know that used to be non-remote are now remote. So it means that there are opportunities for remote, there are more remote opportunities. So I'll say the chances are pretty much the same thing. But the thing is, really, you just have to have that differentiating factor from the different applicants. It's like when you're applying for any role, essentially, at the end of the day, the recruiter wants to see the differentiating factor from why they need to choose you from other applicants as well. So the thing is, don't stop applying. When you see anything, any role that is actually remote from in developing countries, please try to apply. The chances that you will get it is there if your CV or if you have what they want really. And from my experience and from things that I've witnessed from other people, I don't think there are any biases that because you are in Nigeria, they're not going to employ you. I mean, most times this recruiter, what they're looking for is that they're looking for people that can get the work done at the end of the day. So if you want to, please go for it. That's what I would say. Yeah.
Okay, thank you, Adedolapo. Thank you, Adedolapo, for that.
You're welcome.
Answer. So we have another question. It says, I currently work in healthcare and would like to transition into product management. How can I transition? This is from Felicia Thomas. Sorry, did you get
Great.
that?
Yes, I did. Felicia asked the question that she wants to
Okay.
transition from healthcare into product management,
Yeah.
right? Great. So
Yeah.
Felicia, if you do want to, like I said, you can try exploring business analysis and product ownership, right? As a path into product management. This is because there are resources available, there are great certifications that when you get them, it opens doors for you to, get in a place into tech, for instance, or whatever industry you want to be a product manager in. So try exploring business analysis, try exploring product ownership. And I believe with that, that can open you up to understanding what product management is. I am not saying that, this just to put a caveat, is that I'm not saying that you can actually just go straight into being a product manager, but from experience, it's easier to start off being a business analyst or a product owner. And even I'd say even being a Scrum Master to getting into product management than just saying, okay, I just want to get into being product management. So I hope this helps, Felicia. I wish you luck in your transitioning as well.
Thank you, Dolapo. I'm not sure there are any other questions, but it's been a really interesting conversation. And I'm sure that a lot of people have actually learned a thing or two or taken a thing or two from the conversation so far. So making a reference to what Dolapo has said, so someone asked a question about the difference between product owner and product management, right? And you mentioned that they would get higher chances of transitioning into product management by going into a product owner role, right? And it's really easy to get certification courses in product management, in product ownership. Sorry. So I would actually just like to put it out there that Binet Learning, when I did the introduction, I mentioned we take trainings on certain courses, and we actually have a bootcamp coming up on May 28th. That's this month. for product ownership. It's called the Scrum Product Ownership class. So if you would like to join us for that bootcamp, and you want to transition into product management, you can join the class, can join the bootcamp, and if you'd like to join us, you can just send us an email at info@beinglearning.com. You can also send us a DM, right? And we would reply your messages. We are looking forward to your messages, to your emails, right? If you want to transition, I mean, she already said it, product owner is the way. Thank you, Adedolapo. Thank you so much. It's great to have you here. Thank you, everybody, for joining. It's a pleasure to have you all join us today for this session. I mean, it's been an amazing 1 hour. It's been an amazing conversation so far. Thank you again, Adedolapo. So, yeah, all right. See you guys. Bye.
Bye.